They invaded thinking Earth was weak, but humanity unveiled a solar system trap of unimaginable firepower. They called it the Blue Pearl, a world frozen in time, broadcasting signals from an era of crude machines and fragile flesh. But the Kryon Empire's scanners missed the veil, a centuries-old trap woven from light and lies, waiting to ensnare the galaxy's mightiest conquerors. On the bridge of the Kryon Vanguard, Commander Orvac stood tall, his copper-hued skin gleaming under the harsh tactical lights. At 50 cycles, with a frame honed by endless campaigns, he exuded arrogance born of victory. His uniform, etched with the scars of 47 conquered systems, clung to his broad shoulders as he stared at the holographic display. 300 years of expansion, and now this, he muttered, his voice a low rumble. The data streamed in, radio waves carrying black and white films, primitive broadcasts of wars fought with bullets and bombs. Earth's orbit appeared empty, no satellites, no defenses. Population, 7 billion souls, armed with nuclear toys that could barely scratch a Kryon hull. Orvac's officers clustered around the console, their faces a mix of scales and metallic implants, all nodding in agreement. "Man to primitives," one sneered, a junior tactician with fresh campaign ribbons. "Like the Zorathians, surrendered in 48 hours after our first volley." Laughter echoed, sharp and dismissive. Orvac silenced them with a raised hand. "This planet shines with resources, water, minerals, biomass. We'll claim it for the Empire." Back on Kryos Prime, the Council convened in the Grand Chamber, a vast dome of crystalline alloy towering over the capital's spires. Holograms flickered as elders debated. "Deploy the fleet," the High Executor declared. 3,200 warships, each 5 kilometers long, armed with plasma cannons at 10 to the 15th joules per shot. Overkill for these insects, but a statement to the galaxy. Orvac's image nodded from the Vanguard. "Agreed. I'll send the ultimatum now." The message blasted across all frequencies, Orvac's voice booming like thunder. "Inhabitants of the Blue World, you have one rotation to submit. Surrender your planet or face erasure. The Kryon Empire does not negotiate with man-DI. In the Sol system, silence reigned. Saturn's rings glittered like innocent ice, masking 1.2 million kinetic platforms, each poised to unleash relativistic slugs at 0.9 C. Jupiter's moons slumbered under thick crusts, hiding railguns and plasma arrays. Mars' red dust concealed buried fleets. Earth itself pulsed with hidden life, its atmosphere an engineered prism, delaying light by centuries. Deep beneath the Himalayas, in a command bunker reinforced with quantum shielding, Lyra Kestrel received the transmission. 40 years old, with jet black hair tied back and eyes like frozen steel, she wore the green uniform of Earth's Federation leader, simple, functional, marked by insignia of command. She leaned over the console, her expression unchanging. "They've arrived," she said flatly. Admiral Terran Vey stood beside her, 60 cycles etched in his silver beard in unyielding posture. His voice carried the weight of decades in shadow wars. "Phase 1 of the Veil activates now. Response. Single word." Technicians nodded, fingers dancing over interfaces. The bunker hummed with energy, walls lined with screens showing false 20th century feeds, old newsreels, and radio static to maintain the illusion. Orvac watched from the Vanguard as the plasma test fired. A beam lanced toward Earth's Gobi Desert, vaporizing 500 square kilometers of sand into glass. No response came. No panic broadcasts, no desperate pleas. "See?" Orvac grinned, turning to his crew. "They're terrified. One show of force, and they crumble like the primitives they are." The officers chuckled again, comparing Earth to fallen empires that begged for mercy after mere demonstrations. 48 hours at most," another quipped. Orvac folded his arms. "Prepare the fleet. Warp speed 50 times light. We'll reach Sol in 72 hours. This conquest ends before it begins." Lyra monitored the strike from her bunker, the impact registering as a minor tremor. "They probe," she said. Terran grunted. "And we hold. The Veil endures." She allowed a cold smile. "Let them come closer." As the Kryon Armada powered up, engines warping space, Orvac paced the bridge. Data confirmed. No ships in orbit, no energy signatures beyond basic fission. Easy picking, he declared. The fleet leaped forward, a swarm of behemoths slicing through the void. In the bunker, Terran issued orders. Monitor their approach. Activate peripheral sensors. Lyra nodded. We've watched them for 150 years. Their arrogance blinds them. The Sol system remained deceptively calm. Hidden platforms in Saturn's rings stirred faintly, AI systems syncing for the symphony to come. On Earth, megastructures beneath oceans and continents buzzed with activity. 12 billion humans, far beyond Kryon's estimates, preparing without a ripple on the surface. Orvac's confidence swelled as the fleet cleared the first light years. By the time we arrive, they'll be on their knees. His officers saluted, the vanguard leading the charge. Lyra turned to her staff. Status on the temporal lens? A tech replied, active. Light was delayed 200 years. They see only ghosts. Terran's eyes narrowed. Good. Let the man die. Learn fear. The armada hurtled on, oblivious to the web tightening around them. 72 hours ticked down, each second drawing the invaders deeper into the trap. As the fleet approached the Kuiper Belt's edge, Orvac scanned ahead. No anomalies. Proceed. In the bunker, Lyra whispered, Phase 1 complete. The Kryon fleet surged through the void, a juggernaut of 3,000 warships, their plasma cannons primed to burn worlds to ash. On Earth, beneath the serene facade of a 20th century hologram, the Federation mobilized in silence, their trap centuries in the making. Lyra Kestrel stood in the Geneva bunker, a labyrinth of titanium and quantum processors buried under kilometers of rock. Her green uniform was crisp, her black hair pulled tight, framing eyes that missed nothing. The air hummed with data streams, screens showing the Kryon Armada's warp signatures. They've crossed the Kuiper Belt, she said, her voice steady as steel. 150 years of watching them, and now they think us prey. Admiral Terran Vey, his silver beard catching the dim light, leaned over a tactical map. The veil holds. 10,000 cloaked satellites maintain the temporal lens. They see only our ghost signals, old wars, old tech. He pointed to a hollow display of Earth's surface. Sprawling cities hidden under holographic fields. Megastructures housing 12 billion souls beneath oceans and mountains. The planet's true face lay concealed, a fortress masquerading as a backwater. Activate the lens fully, Lyra ordered. Technicians complied, fingers flying across interfaces. The atmospheric prism, a marvel of quantum engineering, bent light and signals to project an Earth frozen 200 years in the past. Radio waves mimicked ancient broadcasts, while warp drives and quantum weapons stayed cloaked. They'll see nothing until it's too late, she added. In a side chamber, Mira Hale prepared her diplomatic team. 35, tall, her white uniform stark against her dark skin, she spoke with precision. When the trap springs, we'll need words, not just weapons. Patience is our edge. Her team nodded, loading data into the eternal horizon. An 8-kilometer stealth ship ready for the endgame. Terran turned to a console. Saturn's rings are primed, 500,000 kinetic platforms ready to sing. His voice carried a grim satisfaction, like a conductor poised for a deadly symphony. The platforms, disguised as ice, held relativistic slugs capable of punching through Kryon shields at 0.9 C. They'll hear it soon enough. Aboard the Vanguard, Orvac laughed as Earth's single-word reply echoed, No. His copper skin gleamed under the bridge's lights, his arrogance unshaken. They dare defy us? He turned to his officers, their scaled faces alight with mockery. 500,000 soldiers stand ready. 3,000 ships. They have nothing. The Council on Kryos Prime had grumbled about energy costs. Warp drives burned fuel equivalent to a small star, but Orvac waved it off. Scans show no ships, no orbital defenses. This is a slaughter, not a war. An officer smirked. Their last conquest begged within 48 hours. These men will break faster. Orvac nodded, ordering the fleet to full speed. 70 hours to Saturn's orbit. Prepare landing protocols. In Geneva, Lyra watched the Kryon advance on a holomap. They're predictable, she said. Terran grunted. Arrogance is a universal flaw. He tapped a screen, revealing Earth's defense budget. 15% of global GDP, 2 million personnel on standby. Every credit, every soldier had built the veil over centuries, a trap honed since Kryon's first probes were detected. Status on the outer defenses? Lyra asked. A tech replied, South-O platforms synced. Jupiter's railguns are on standby. Mars fleets are ready to launch. Lyra's lips curved faintly. Good. Let them think they're hunting. On the Vanguard, Orvac reviewed final scans. No energy spikes, no fleet movements. Just radio chatter from their primitive wars. He leaned back, confident. We'll burn one city to prove our might, then they'll kneel. Mira Hale, in her quarters, reviewed diplomatic contingencies. When their fleet falls, we'll offer terms, she told her team. The Kryon value strength. We'll show it, then speak peace. Her words carried weight, her role as Earth's envoy sharpened by years of studying alien psychologies. Terran issued another command. Sync the Veil's secondary protocols. If they scan deeper, they'll see only more lies. The temporal lens adjusted, broadcasting fake civilian signals, newsreels of tanks and biplanes, to reinforce the illusion. Earth's true arsenal, from warp-capable ships to quantum warheads, remained invisible. The Kryon fleet pushed past the Kuiper belt, sensors blind to the web tightening around them. Orvac stood on the bridge, arms crossed. No resistance, no surprises. This world is ours. Lyra's voice cut through the bunker's hum. They're in range. Phase 2 prepped? Terran nodded. South-O awaits. Mars and Jupiter are locked. He leaned forward, eyes glinting. Time to play our first note. The Armada roared towards Saturn, their warp trails lighting the void. Officers on the Vanguard traded bets on how quickly Earth would surrender. 24 hours, one guessed. Orvac smirked. Less. In Geneva, a tech reported, Kryon fleet at 60 hours from Saturn. No deviations. Lyra's gaze hardened. They see what we want them to see. She turned to Terran. When do we strike? When they're deep enough, he replied. Let them taste confidence before the fall. The bunker's screens flickered, showing Saturn's rings in high detail. Beneath the ice facade, platforms hummed, AI targeting systems calibrating. Earth's 12 billion held their breath, centuries of preparation, now seconds from fruition. Orvac's voice crackled over the fleet's comms. Full speed. Let the man die. Witness the storm. Lyra leaned back, her cold smile returning. They'll witness something, all right. The Kryon fleet pierced Neptune's orbit, the Vanguard at the spearhead, its 5-kilometer hull cutting through the void like a blade. Sensors swept wide, probing for threats, but returned only echoes of space. No defenses registered, no energy blooms. Orvac paced the bridge, his copper skin taut under the tactical glow. Clear path, an officer reported. No orbital assets, no interceptors. Fire another warning, Orvac commanded, his voice a whip crack. Plasma lanced from the Vanguard's cannons, slamming into Earth's south pole. The beam carved a 10-kilometer crater, ice vaporizing in a flash that lit the hemisphere. Scans confirmed the hit. Surface disruption, but no counterfire, no distress signals. Orvac smirked. They hide like cowards. This planet breaks easily. The Sol system stretched silent, a deceptive void. Jupiter's moons loomed distant, Io and Europa cloaked in ice 20 kilometers thick, their railgun batteries dormant, plasma arrays charged but hidden. Saturn's rings glittered harmlessly, kinetic swarms waiting. Mars's red plains showed no scars, its buried hangars sealed. 5 key worlds synced in defense. Earth, Mars, Jupiter's satellites, Saturn, and outer probes, all linked by quantum relays. In the Geneva Command Center, Lyra Kestrel tracked the fleet's advance on holoscreens. Her green uniform was unchanged, her posture rigid as she coordinated with Terran Vey. They're probing deeper, she said. Terran nodded, his silver beard shadowing his jaw. Sync the platforms? Jupiter, Saturn, Mars, full integration. His fingers tapped commands, aligning weapons across the system. They see our bait, old signals flowing. Kryon interceptors caught faint radio waves, grainy broadcasts of World War II, tanks rumbling, bombers droning. Primitive conflict, an officer scoffed on the Vanguard. Metal slugs and chemical explosives. No shields, no plasma. The crew laughed, morale high. This blue world is weak, another added. 7 billion souls, no fight in them. Orvac halted the chatter. Focus. 24 hours to Saturn orbit. Prep invasion pods. Aboard the Eternal Horizon, Mira Hale drilled her team in the ship's stealth bay. The vessel stretched 8 kilometers, its quantum cloak bending light to invisibility. We launch post-battle, she instructed, her white uniform sharp. Terms ready, disarmament, alliance. Her diplomats nodded, simming negotiations on pads. Kryon respects force. We'll show it, then talk. Terran Vey leaned over a console in Geneva. Phase 2. Mars fleets online. He triggered the sequence. 1,000 fighter squadrons stirring in subsurface bays. Each ship, titanium armored, hit .5 C in bursts. Railguns loaded for close-quarter shredding. They'll meet the swarm when ready, he said. Lyra's eyes flicked to the map. Hold until Saturn. Let them commit. The Vanguard sensors hummed. Energy reserves vast. Enough plasma to glass 3 Earth-sized worlds. Orvac reviewed formations. 3,000 ships in a wedge array, flanks guarded by destroyers. No anomalies, a scanner tech confirmed. Just dead space. Orvac's confidence swelled. They tremble below. One more strike, and surrender follows. Lyra monitored the polar hit, seismic data scrolling. Minimal damage, civilians safe in bunkers. Terran grunted. Their cannons waste power. Ours wait. He synced Jupiter's railguns, 500 barrels under Io's crust, calibrated for .8 C slugs. Europa's lasers primed too, 10 to the 18th watts per burst. On the Vanguard, officers traded scans. Population clusters underground? No, just natural caves. Laughter again. Weaklings hiding from their own sun. Orvac silenced them. Deploy scouts. Probe Jupiter's orbit next. Drones launched, streaking ahead, but returned empty data, false feeds from the veil. Mira Hale watched from her ship, docked in lunar shadow. Their arrogance builds, perfect. Yori. She adjusted sims, factoring Kryon psychology. Conquerors who crumbled when outmatched. Terran issued subcommands. Mars hangars to standby. Doors sealed until go. The red planet's surface quivered faintly. Massive portals 2 kilometers wide ready to iris open. Fighters hummed in racks, pilots strapped in, and AI assists locked. The fleet closed on Uranus's shadow, sensors blind to the buildup. Orvac stood firm. 20 hours out, charge all weapons. Plasma coils glowed, ready for saturation fire. In Geneva, Lyra crossed her arms. They push. We pull. Terran nodded. Sync complete. 5 worlds, 1 net. Scouts from the Vanguard skimmed Saturn's edge, detecting ice and rock. Clear, they reported. Orvac leaned forward. Full advance. The storm of Kryon descends. Lyra's screen blinked. They're committed. Phase 2 holds. Terran's voice dropped. Let them taste the vacuum first. The Armada accelerated, a tidal wave of metal and fire, oblivious to the jaws closing. Officers on lesser ships prepped boarding teams, 500,000 troops in cryo, weapons hot. Mira prepped her shuttle. We follow the fire. Her team loaded data cores, peace terms encoded. Terran watched the clock. 18 hours to contact. Lyra's gaze hardened. They see ghosts. We bring reality. Orvac's declaration boomed over comms. The storm of Kryon is upon you. No reply came, only silence, and the hidden hum of awakening defenses. The Kryon fleet closed on Saturn's rings, 3,000 ships in tight triangular formation, lasers sweeping to clear debris. The Vanguard led, its sensors probing the ice field ahead. Orvac stood on the bridge, arms crossed, watching the holo display. Standard approach. No threats detected. His officers nodded, plasma cannons tracking potential hazards. The rings looked natural. Frozen water and rock, nothing more. Then it happened. 1.2 million ice fragments stirred. Shells cracked open, revealing sleek platforms, each a kinetic launcher primed for hell. Slugs accelerated to .95 C in microseconds, relativistic darts invisible until impact. The first wave hit the forward ships, piercing energy shields like paper. Hulls vaporized in silent blooms, 200 vessels gone in 5 minutes. Alarms blared across the fleet. "Report!" Orvac barked, gripping the console as the Vanguard shuddered from near misses. "Unknown weapons from the rings. Kinetic impacts, relativistic speeds." An officer yelled back, scales paling. Shrapnel flew at 10 kilometers per second, chaining into secondary explosions. 50 more ships crumpled, reactors breaching in white-hot flares. In Geneva, Lyra Kestrel leaned forward, holoscreens alive with data. "They've triggered the symphony." Her voice was calm, eyes tracking the carnage. Terran Vey, from his Mars command post, a fortified dome under Olympus Mons, directed the assault. AI targeting at 99.8%. Platforms reallocating. He tapped commands, the swarm adjusting fire patterns to herd the Kryon formation. On the Vanguard, chaos erupted. "Counterfire!" Orvac roared. Plasma beams lanced out, but twisted mid-flight, bent by artificial magnetic fields woven into the rings. Bolts harmlessly curved away, dissipating into the vacuum. "Impossible!" an officer shouted. "Their tech! It's warping space!" Orvac slammed a fist. "Evasive maneuvers! Pull back to Jupiter orbit!" Lyra watched the retreat begin, ships peeling away in disarray. First blood drawn, 15% of their fleet down, 450 ships, 75,000 dead. Terran's response crackled over comms. "Minimal losses here, platforms intact, resupplying slugs from hidden depots." The rings reformed, ice shells regenerating via nano-assemblers, ready for round two. Kryon vessels exploded in sequence, kinetic hits punching clean through armor. One cruiser split lengthwise, crew venting into space. "Not Mandia!" another officer cried. "This is a trap!" Orvac's face hardened, copper skin flushing. "Regroup at Jupiter. Scan for origins." But scans jammed, fed false data by Earth's quantum nets. Terran adjusted tactics from Mars. Redirect 20% to flanks. Force them inward. Platforms pivoted, slugs arcing in precise volleys. Another 50 Kryon ships shredded, debris fields growing. The fleet's wedge fractured, destroyers shielding the Vanguard as it warped back. Lyra coordinated broadly. "Jupiter arrays on alert. Hold fire until they're committed." Her screen showed the retreat path, straight into the next layer. They think retreat saves them. It doesn't. Aboard a crippled Kryon frigate, survivors scrambled. "Shields failing. Impacts everywhere." The ship buckled, joining the graveyard. Orvac watched from safety, rage building. "These primitives hide armies in rocks. Reform the line." Terran's AI refined shots, predicting dodges with machine precision. Hit rate holding. Their energy drops, shields weakening. Platforms fired in bursts, conserving for the long game. Lyra's team analyzed the wreckage. "Plasma is ineffective against our fields. Their tech is outdated by centuries." She nodded. "Push them." The Vanguard cleared the rings, trailing smoke. Orvac counted losses. 450 hulls lost. Crews vaporized. "Temporary setback," he growled. "To Jupiter. We'll burn the moons if needed." Terran smirked on Mars. They run to the next verse. He synced with Jupiter's batteries, railguns humming under ice. Kryon comms flooded with panic. "Fleet integrity at 85%. Orvac silenced them. "Hold formation. This isn't over." In Geneva, Lyra turned to her staff. "Phase complete. Casualties minimal. 0 platforms lost." The rings quieted, awaiting reactivation. Orvac stared at Saturn's fading glow. "What are these Mendi?" Doubt crept in, his arrogance cracking. Terran issued a stand-down. "Regroup for Jupiter. Let them lick wounds." The system hummed, defenses primed. The fleet limped to Jupiter, 2,800 ships left, energy low. Officers whispered of ghosts in the ice. Lyra's voice echoed in comms. "They suspect now." "Good. Fear sharpens the trap." The Kryon fleet limped into Jupiter's shadow, 2,800 ships battered but defiant, their spherical formation tightening around the Vanguard. Orvac stood rigid on the bridge, copper skin taut under flickering tactical lights. His eyes locked on the hollow display, scrolling damage reports. Hull breaches, failing reactors, crew losses mounting. "Scan those moons," he growled. Find where they hid that ring attack. Sensors swept Io and Europa, probing volcanic plumes and icy crusts 20 kilometers thick. Data returned clean, nothing but rock and gas. No emplacements, no energy spikes, an officer reported, scales paling. Just natural formations. Orvak's fist clenched. They don't fool me twice. Tighten the net. Prepare for counterstrike. The fleet adjusted, destroyers pivoting to shield the core, plasma cannons charging with enough juice to slag a continent. Energy reserves hovered at 60%, strained but functional. Officers rerouted power, sealing breaches with emergency nanoweaves. We hold, another said, but another hit like Saturn's. The silence was shattered. Io's surface split, sulfur plains fracturing like glass. Fissures yawned, peeling back crust to unveil 500 railgun emplacements, barrels gleaming under volcanic glow. Each locked onto Kryon flagships, AI guided with lethal precision. Slugs launched at point 8 C, relativistic rounds tearing through shields like tissue. The first wave hit a cruiser squadron, shredding armor in silent fireballs. 300 ships vaporized in 10 minutes, hulls collapsing into molten wrecks. Debris sprayed at 15 kilometers per second, punching secondary holes through nearby frigates. Europa erupted next. Its icy crust cracked, oceans boiling as subsurface platforms surfaced. Laser batteries pumping 10 to the 18th watts per pulse lanced out in synchronized volleys. Beams carved destroyers stem to stern, melting engines and igniting fuel cores. Space around Jupiter became a plasma inferno, a glowing haze of ionized metal. Kryon sensors faltered, choked by debris clouds. Counterattack! Orvak roared, slamming the console. Energy torpedoes streaked toward the moons, warheads primed to crack planetary crusts, but Earth's quantum shields snapped on, warping space. Torpedoes veered, detonating harmlessly in the void. In Geneva, Lyra Kestrel tracked the carnage on holoscreens, her green uniform crisp, eyes cold as ever. Phase 3 engaged, she said, voice flat but commanding. Feeds showed Io's railguns cycling, each shot a calculated strike. Terran Vey, from his Mars command dome under Olympus Mons, orchestrated the assault. Targeting efficiency at 99.9%, he reported, silver beard catching the glow of tactical maps. Redirect 20% to Europa. Overwhelm their sensors. AI systems adjusted, lasers and slugs converging to herd the Kryon fleet into a kill zone. Aboard the cloaked Eternal Horizon, Mira Hale watched, her white uniform stark against the stealth ship's dark interior. Record every move, she ordered her diplomats, who logged data on Kryon failures. Their plasma's useless against our fields. This proves our edge for negotiations. The 8-kilometer vessel hovered in Jupiter's shadow, its quantum cloak bending light to nothing. Mira's team prepped psych profiles, noting Kryon morale cracking under relentless losses. On the Vanguard, chaos reigned. Shields failing, an officer shouted as another volley rocked the ship. A cruiser nearby split lengthwise, its crew venting into space, suits sparking in the laser glow. Abandoned ship! Cries echoed across the lesser vessels, pods jettisoning only to be caught in crossfire, winking out in bursts. Orvak's orders cut through the panic. Focus fire on Io! Burn those guns! Plasma beams lanced out, but Earth's magnetic fields twisted them, reflecting heat onto Kryon hulls. One frigate ignited, its reactor blooming into a star. Lyra issued commands. Mars fleets, prepare launch. Pin them at Jupiter. Terran acknowledged, fingers dancing over controls. Fighters on hot standby, 2,000 ready. The red planet's hangars hummed, titanium-armored ships primed for point 6 C sprints. Europa lasers, increase cadence. Force retreat vectors. Kryon soldiers scrambled on dying ships. Hull integrity at 20%, a captain reported before his feed cut to static. Escape pods launched, many shredded by debris or tagged by lasers. Orvak gripped the bridge rails, face flushed. These men hide wars in moons. Officers screamed updates. Flanks gone. Comms jammed. He ordered a withdrawal. To Mars orbit. Use the planet as cover. Terran adjusted from Mars. Their energy's down 40%. Push harder. Europa's lasers pulsed faster, each shot slicing through weakened shields. Debris clouds thickened, a metallic fog blinding Kryon scanners. Confirmed losses, 1,000 ships, Terran noted. They're breaking. Lyra's screens showed the fleet fracturing, 2,000 ships fleeing toward Mars. They think the Red World's safe, she said. It's not. Her voice carried no glee, only certainty. On a crippled Kryon destroyer, survivors sealed suits against the vacuum. We're done, a soldier yelled as the deck buckled. Pods ejected, half caught in laser sweeps. The fleet's cohesion dissolved, ships scattering like prey. Mira logged the retreat. Morale's shot. They're ripe for terms. Her team adjusted sims, factoring Kryon fear into peace talks. Show strength, then offer mercy, she murmured, eyes on the slaughter. Terran prepped the next phase. Mars doors on standby. They'll meet the swarm soon. Fighters in hangars roared to life, pilots synced with AI. Orvax stared at Jupiter's glowing chaos, dread replacing rage. They conceal entire systems, he muttered, voice low. What are these men die? Kryon comms flooded with despair. Fleet at 60% strength. We can't hold, Orvax snapped back. Regroup at Mars, fight or die. Lyra's gaze hardened. They choose death. Let's oblige. The moons fell silent, batteries retracting under nano-regenerated crusts. Defenses reset, primed for the next act. The Kryon Armada, now a shadow of its former might, limped toward Mars, blind to the jaws awaiting. The Kryon fleet, now a battered remnant of 2,000 ships, staggered into Mars orbit, seeking refuge behind the red planet's bulk. Orvac gripped the Vanguard's command rail, his copper skin slick with sweat as damage reports flooded in. Reform the line, he barked. Shields to maximum. Prioritize core vessels. Sensors flickered, still clogged by Jupiter's debris clouds. Officers scrambled, rerouting power to failing systems. Energy at 50%, one reported, voice tight. We can't take another ambush. Mars' surface looked barren, its red dust undisturbed under a thin atmosphere. No energy signatures, no structures, just craters and canyons. Orvac's eyes narrowed. They hid weapons in rings and moons. Scanned deeper. But Earth's veil held, feeding false data. Empty plains. No life. The fleet tightened into a defensive wedge. Plasma cannons charging for a desperate stand. Then the planet roared. Massive portals, 2 kilometers wide, irised open across Mars' equatorial belt, tearing through bedrock. From these maws launched 2,000 fighter craft, each 3 kilometers long, their titanium hulls painted red with simulated rust, a deliberate mask. Engines flared, propelling them at Mach 50 in vacuum, 0.6 C in open bursts. Railguns spun up, spitting plasma-coated slugs with 95% hit accuracy. The swarm hit like a tidal wave. Kryon destroyers on the flanks vanished in seconds, shredded by volleys that punched through shields and armor. 800 ships dissolved in the first wave, reactors breaching in blinding cascades. Shrapnel sprayed, fouling sensors further. Ambush! An officer screamed on the Vanguard. They were under the surface. Orvac's jaw tightened. Return fire! All cannons! Plasma lanced out, but Earth's quantum fields bent the beams, redirecting them into harmless arcs. From his Mars command dome, Terran Vey directed the assault, his silver beard catching the glow of tactical screens. Zhenat Chung Nu Gyai, he growled, voice cold as steel. He adjusted AI targeting, prioritizing Kryon command ships. Flank squads converge, trap them against the planet. The fighters moved like a hive, weaving through debris with precision honed over centuries. Earth's losses were minimal, 50 ships, their advanced armor absorbing glancing hits. In Geneva, Lyra Kestrel monitored the slaughter, her green uniform a stark silhouette against holomaps. Kryon losses at 800 and climbing. Our grid's holding. She keyed a command, activating Earth's orbital net. 20,000 cloaked satellites stirred, ready to amplify the assault. Sync with Mars, keep them pinned. Her voice was calm, each word a calculated step toward victory. On the Vanguard, chaos reigned. Shields at 30%! An officer shouted as a fighter squadron strafed, railguns carving gashes through the hull. Escape pods launched, most caught in the swarm's crossfire. Kryon soldiers sealed suits, but decks buckled, venting crews into the vacuum. "We're surrounded," another cried. Orvax slammed the console. "Break formation, scatter to low orbit." But the fighters adjusted, cutting off escape vectors with relentless precision. Terran's voice crackled over comms. "Increase pressure. Force them to ground." Mars surface batteries joined in, hidden railguns firing from buried bunkers. Slugs tore through Kryon frigates, each hit sparking secondary explosions. The planet itself seemed alive, a fortress awakening after centuries of silence, housing 500,000 troops in subsurface cities. Lyra watched the fleet crumble. "They're down to 1,200 ships, energy critical." She leaned forward. "Activate orbital support now." Satellites blinked online, their energy weapons warming, ready to sweep the survivors. Aboard the Eternal Horizon, Mirahale logged the battle's tempo. "Their cohesion's gone," she told her team, her white uniform crisp despite the tension. "Prep the diplomatic packet. We'll move when they break." Her diplomats nodded, refining terms for a shattered empire. Kryon comms drowned in panic. "Fleet integrity failing. 1,100 ships left." A cruiser exploded nearby, its debris pelting the vanguard. Orvac's orders grew frantic. "Dive below their fighters. Use Mars' atmosphere." But the swarm followed, diving through thin air without slowing, their AI pilots untouchable. Terran adjusted tactics. "Shift 10% to high orbit. Block their escape." Fighters climbed, sealing the trap. Earth's losses stayed low. Their ships were built for endurance, and each hit was absorbed by layered titanium. On a dying Kryon destroyer, soldiers abandoned posts, suits sparking as they fled. "The Red World fight," one screamed before static cut him off. Pods burned up in Mars' atmosphere, caught by ground batteries. The fleet's remnants, now 800 ships, clung to low orbit, shields flickering. Lyra's screens updated. "Terran, status?" His reply was crisp. "Swarm holding. Their energy's near collapse." She nodded. "Finish it." Orvax stared at the red planet, dread overtaking rage. "They buried fleets in dirt," he muttered. "This isn't possible." His officers fell silent, faces ashen as another squadron vanished in a plasma burst. The fighters pressed, relentless, their red hulls a blur against Mars's rust. Terran's voice echoed in his dome. "Keep the tempo. They break now." Kryon's last stand faltered, ships scattering but finding no refuge. The red planet's jaws closed, its hidden arsenals singing a song of ruin. The Kryon fleet, now a mere 800 ships, clung to Mars' low orbit, their shields flickering under relentless assault. Orvax stood on the Vanguard's bridge, his copper skin drained of its sheen, eyes locked on failing sensors. "Scan again," he snapped. "Find their command." The tech officer, scales rattling, fed data through the console. A revelation hit. Earth's atmosphere wasn't just gas, it was a temporal lens, bending light to delay signals by 250 years. "They've faked it all," Orvac whispered, voice cracking. "Radio chatter, old wars, a trap centuries deep." The realization burned. Every scan, every broadcast, grainy films, primitive signals, was a lie. Earth wasn't a backwater, it was a fortress veiled by time itself. Orvac's shout echoed. "All ships, fire everything!" Plasma cannons roared, beams lancing toward the blue planet. But the lens twisted reality, warping shots into null space. Nothing touched Earth's surface. In Geneva, Lyra Kestrel watched the barrage fizzle, her green uniform steady as she tracked the chaos. "They've seen the veil," she said, voice like ice. Holoscreens flared as Earth's true defenses woke. 20,000 cloaked satellites shed their disguises, transforming into energy weapon platforms. Beams lanced out at 0.9 C, each pulse a gigaton of focused light. 500 Kryon ships vanished in minutes, hulls melting into slag. Debris fields spiraled, choking the void. Terran Vey, from his Mars dome, adjusted the assault. Orbital grid at full power, 95% hits. His silver beard framed a grim smile as he keyed commands. "Mars squads, pull back. Let the satellites clean up." The red planet's fighters disengaged, their red hulls retreating to subsurface bays, leaving the orbital net to finish the job. On the vanguard, alarm screamed. "Shields gone!" An officer yelled as a beam carved through the ship's flank. Crews sealed suits, but bulkheads collapsed, venting bodies into space. Orvac gripped the console, watching his fleet dissolve. "Counterattack!" he roared, but plasma volleys fizzled against Earth's quantum fields. "It's not possible," he muttered. "Their man die." Lyra's screens tallied the carnage. 2,950 Kryon ships destroyed. 95% of their force gone in 4 hours. "Minimal losses," she noted. 200 fighters, 10,000 personnel. Earth's efficiency was surgical, centuries of preparation paying off in a single devastating hour. Aboard a dying Kryon frigate, survivors broadcast surrender. "The blue world is death," a soldier gasped, his feed cut by a satellite beam. Escape pods launched, most shredded by orbital fire. The few that survived carried tales of a nightmare planet, its skies weaponized. Mira Hale on the eternal horizon prepared her team. "They're broken," she said, her white uniform stark against the stealth ship's dark interior. "Log their collapse. Terms ready for Kryos Prime." Her diplomats nodded, encoding the peace offer. Disarmament, alliance, galactic stewardship. Terran issued the final order. "Cease fire. Let the stragglers run." 50 Kryon ships, battered husks, limped free, warping toward Kryos Prime. The rest burned in Mars orbit, a graveyard of ambition. Orvac, still on the vanguard, stared at the wreckage. "A lie," he murmured. "Centuries of lies." His officers, those still alive, stood frozen. One whispered, "We called them primitives." Orvac's silence was his admission of defeat. Lyra leaned back in Geneva. "They know now." Her voice held no triumph, only certainty. The veils lifted. Earth stands revealed. Screens showed the orbital grid powering down, satellites cloaking again, ready for the next threat. Mira's ship prepped for launch. "We moved to Kryos Prime," she said. "They'll listen now or die." Her team finalized sims predicting Kryon compliance under fear's weight. Terran monitored the retreat. 50 ships left. They'll carry the story. His dome hummed. Fighters docking, systems resetting. Mars fell silent, its portals sealing under regenerated dust. Kryon comms crackled with despair. "We're done," a captain sobbed before his signal died. Orvac ordered silence. "To Kryos Prime, we report failure." The vanguard warped, trailing sparks, a ghost of its former might. Lyra's final command echoed. "Track them. Ensure they reach their capital." Her eyes flicked to a hollow globe of Earth, its true face, cities of light, oceans of steel, hidden no more. The Sol system quieted, its defenses dormant but vigilant. The Kryon defeat was absolute, a lesson carved in fire and loss. Earth's trap, centuries in the making, had sprung perfectly, leaving only ashes and fear in its wake. The 50 Kryon survivors warped into Kryos Prime's orbit, their ships venting plasma and trailing debris. Orvac slumped in the Vanguard's command chair, his copper skin marred by burns, eyes hollow from defeat. "Dock at Central," he ordered weakly. The capital world loomed below, its crystalline spires piercing the atmosphere, a testament to 300 years of conquest. But the fleet's arrival triggered alarms. Only 50 hulls were 3,000 that had departed. Council chambers buzzed with panic. The eternal horizon materialized without warning, its 8-kilometer frame uncloaking above the planet's equator. 100 Earth envoys stood ready in its bays, armed with data cores and quantum shields. Mira Hale led them, her white uniform immaculate, her tall frame exuding calm authority. "Launch shuttle," she commanded. The craft descended, cutting through Kryon's defenses like a ghost, landing unchallenged at the Grand Chamber's pad. Inside the chamber, a vast dome of alloy and light, the council huddled. Towers soared 5 kilometers high outside, but fear choked the air. Whispers of lost fleets, man's dire horrors. High executors, once arrogant in their scaled robes, trembled as Mira entered with her guard. "We come in peace," she said, voice sharp and steady, "but terms are non-negotiable." Orvac, shackled and dragged in by Earth Marines, witnessed it all. His Kyo now shattered. The Conqueror reduced to a spectator, his frame hunched from wounds. He met Mira's gaze, recognition dawning. "You," he rasped. "The primitive's voice." Mira ignored him, facing the council. "Your empire challenged Earth. You lost. 2,950 ships in 4 hours. 95% gone." She projected holofeeds. Saturn's rings erupting, Jupiter's moons firing, Mars' fleets rising. The executors recoiled, faces paling. One stammered, "Impossible! You were Man D, frozen in time." From Geneva, Lyra Kestrel monitored via quantum link, her green uniform unchanged, her black hair still tied back. "No resistance detected," a tech reported. She nodded, eyes cold. "Hold perimeter. If they twitch, end it." Centuries of vigilance had forged her. Once a strategist in shadows, now architect of galactic order. Her decisions, once doubted, are now proven in fire. Terran Vey oversaw disarmament from a Mars outpost, directing orbital teams. Their remaining 500 vessels strip weapons. Quantum locks on drives. His silver beard hid a faint smile. The Admiral, hardened by hidden wars, relished the efficiency. Earth squads boarded Kryon docks, securing hulls without a shot being fired. "Clean sweep," he reported to Lyra. "No sabotage." Mira laid out the pact. "Sign the Galactic Transparency Accord. Disarm your fleets. Abandon conquest. Protect weaker worlds." Her words cut like blades. "Fail, and we finish what started in Saul." The document projected terms spanning 50 systems, 1,000 years of Earth oversight. No appeals, no delays. The council shifted, arrogance crumbling to horror. The high executor, voice quavering, reached for the seal. "We comply." Signatures etched in silence. Each marks a nail in their empire's coffin. Orvac watched, chains clinking, his pride dust. "You called us Man D," Mira said softly, turning to him. "But you were the ones trapped in the past." Lyra's feed showed compliance. "Pact signed," she confirmed. Relief flickered in her eyes, not joy, but closure. From a leader forged in deception, she emerged as guardian of peace, her resolve unbreakable. Terran wrapped up. Vessels neutralized, oversight teams in place. His role complete, he stood taller, the cold warrior yielding to a new era. Mira's shuttle lifted, eternal horizon cloaking for the return. Krios Prime fell quiet, its towers dim under the weight of defeat. Humanity stepped into the light, builders of a new order. Try-2 and patience had prevailed, turning traps into treaties. Lyra, alone in the bunker, reflected. "We hid to survive. Now we reveal to thrive. The galaxy learns. Underestimate Earth, and pay eternally." Her words echoed inward, a vow etched in her soul, blending caution with quiet triumph.